Welcome back. The controversial $15 minimum wage increase stripped from the Senate COVID relief bill. A big blow to progressive Democrats. Sen Cramer serves on the Senate Budget Committee, and he joins us right now. Senator, great to have you. Without that minimum wage increase, the bill has more support, I guess, from moderate Democrats and perhaps a better chance of passing when it gets to the Senate. But should it?
Well, it's a great point, and thanks for having me, Maria. I think as the bill gets better, and I think the bill will continue to get better, and certainly no big surprise that the $15 minimum wage policy doesn't really fit into a budget reconciliation bill as per Senate rules. So sure, it becomes a little more appealing to moderate Democrats. It's far from appealing to any Republican that I know so far. But the interesting thing about it to me is that even if it becomes moderate enough to gain enough support to get 50 votes in the Senate and maybe 51 or 52, does it actually lose votes over in the House? Do the progressives, does the AOC crowd, for example, say it's not enough? They are pretty well known for saying it's not enough. So the politics of budget reconciliation with very narrow margins in the majorities is a tricky one for leaders to deal with.
Well, let's talk about this bill, though, Senator. I mean, Kevin McCarthy, the head of the GOP on the House side, is pretty much saying that it's largely unrelated to COVID. It's only 9% related to COVID. He says, look, Democrats, please stop calling this a COVID relief bill. It's actually a Pelosi payoff. He goes through the list of things that are non-COVID, including money to the union pensions, money to blue states as a blue state bailout, money to Planned Parenthood, universities, the National Endowment for the Arts getting $200 to $300 million, Schumer's bridge, Pelosi's tunnels getting another $100 million. So what's the story? Is this just an opportunity to jam stuff in that the Democrats want money for?
It's exactly that, Maria, because, remembering budget reconciliation is a tool that's able to be used in the Senate to pass a major bill with just 50 votes plus the vice president, and rather than the normal 60 votes. So they have both the emotional advantage of a pandemic where people are hurting and need some help. That's one thing, but then they have the advantage of a tool that allows them to pass something in the Senate without the minority party having any input. And let me tell you, we've had no input. In fact, the attempts to provide some input have been, just been pushed back on by everybody from the president to Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi. So there's no question that there's an opportunity for a very targeted relief package that would aim at the people on the lower income levels, unemployment benefits where it's absolutely necessary, but doesn't have a perverse incentive of keeping people from going to work who could and should go to work, reopening schools. There's a lot of opportunity we have to do something together. We've passed 5 very bipartisan COVID relief packages in the last year. Now all of a sudden they want to pass this one, and that's why they're stacking it full of all these payoffs to the unions and to teachers union especially, and others, as well as these blue states. I mean, I think California alone is slated to get $27 billion, and most of these states, Maria, are actually showing increased revenues. So the reality is we're about to have a breakout in our economy, rightfully so, understandably so, as the pandemic gets better under control with vaccines and herd immunity. What we ought to be doing is just opening the economy up so we can provide jobs rather than extended unemployment benefits.
Well, it's just extraordinary, Senator, because 5% of this bill is going to K through 12 schools, and our kids are not even in school. The teachers' unions will not go back to work. It's just extraordinary. Look, I want to get your take, given your budget committee stance, I want to get your take on how America's money is being spent. What are the priorities out of this administration? Now that we have a $1.9 trillion spending bill, are we going to have a revenue raise in the next bill? And our audience is a business audience, so speak to them in terms of what taxes are going to go up that they face.
Well, really important point, because, of course, while we're a 50-50 Senate, obviously Democrats are the majority because they have the presidency and therefore the vice presidency, and the chairman of the Budget Committee is Bernie Sanders. So if you're wondering how big it can get, just think about Bernie Sanders being in the chair. So the priorities are going to be, without a question, on the revenue side, taxing wealth, taxing businesses, taxing people that make a lot of money, producing a lot of goods and services businesses and, by the way, jobs for people. Bernie Sanders was one of the main architects for the $15 minimum wage, which fortunately won't be part of this bill now. So I think what you can expect from a business standpoint is people being paid to not work, which means it's going to be harder for you to attract the workforce. You're going to see payments going to places like cities and communities in blue states and blue cities that will be incented to keep their businesses closed rather than generate revenue the old-fashioned way through productivity and businesses and people paying taxes for everything from property to income and other taxes. So from a business standpoint, I think they should be very concerned. And frankly, Maria, I've been quite disappointed at how many of the large corporations have gotten on board with this whole notion of borrowing another $2 trillion. Never mind all the other stuff. Imagine another $2 trillion added to our already bloated debt.
We are glad you're at the wheel watching all of this. We'll continue to spotlight it. Thanks for being here this weekend.